Hi everybody, I'm Natasha of Natasha Miller Letters, and today we're doing a bullet journal theory video, and we're looking at the 5 rules of design composition, not to be confused with the 5 principles of design, but rather just how to put things together in an aesthetically pleasing way, and specifically how that relates to bullet journals. Once I go through explaining what the 5 rules are, I'll go through and show you examples. So let's get started. So rule number 1, we're looking at the grid, which in a bullet journal is very simple. Next rule is emphasis and scale. Then we're looking at balance, rule of thirds, and rule of odds. Now I'm really excited to take you through my bullet journals to show you the different rules and how I've applied them. And I'll also be linking some of my favorite Instagram accounts as well so that you can check those out too. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy. As I just mentioned, the part of the 5 rules of design composition is the grid. So what makes a bullet journal so great is that you already have your dots, which creates your grid for you. So it's easier to be able to split your page up into the thirds and determine how to get the best balance. So the next rule of design composition is emphasis and scale. So this is one of my favorite layouts to talk about emphasis and scale. Throughout the layout, you see various circles, various size circles. The larger circles are for your days, and then the emptier circle represents the month, so that your eye automatically draws to that. And then throughout, there's also the smaller circles just to make it more visually interesting. But your eye automatically pulls to the middle so that you see what the date is. And then from there, your eye starts to wander to see what's going on. So this is generally what I really love about this layout for emphasis and scale. Now, the next rule I wanted to talk about was balance. And this layout for me is the best example of balance. I actually haven't shown this layout to anybody, so I hope you guys like it. But different elements need to be manipulated in order to find harmony in a design. So whether this means adding white space for each element to breathe or creating paths for the eye to follow throughout the design. So right away, your eye is following diagonally because you've got the pictures that you're looking at and you're trying to see what's going on. But then when you start looking at the individual days, you start seeing the quotes. And again, you have your balance because you have your quotes on either side, and then your balance is running diagonally from each other as well, just like the pictures. So this is, again, very basic example of balance, but I wanted to keep this as easy to follow just so that you don't get overwhelmed or you don't think, oh, this isn't for me. It can be really, really simple. Okay. For the next rule I wanted to discuss was rule of thirds. So the concept of rule of thirds is to divide your design into 3 rows and 3 columns. So where the vertical and horizontal lines meet, natural guidelines form, and this is where you want to be placing your elements. So you don't have to necessarily place them exactly there, but even if they're overlapping the line. So using this layout, I'm going to try and describe the rule of thirds to you. This is a little bit more complicated, but we can go through it and see if it makes more sense to you. So right away, you can tell that there is balance and harmony throughout the layout, and I'm going to show, and the reason why is rule of thirds. So here I have the iPad. I've done my grid over top of the layout. Now, these lines technically should be moved in a little bit just so that you can split it up more evenly. So let's bring this in a bit. And let's bring, where's this guy in a bit? Okay, so that is where we split everything up so that the boxes are more or less even. So normally you just look at a page, but because this is a 2-page spread, this is what we're looking at. Okay, so without looking at the boxes, because the boxes are creating balance just because they're evenly spread, we're just looking at the design elements. So here we have a fish crossing over a line. There is a fish crossing over a line. This fish is crossing over a line since it's hitting the boundary. This one's hitting the boundary as well. And then you have the bubbles scattered throughout just to create that final little bit of balance and harmony. Hope that was helpful in understanding where you should be placing your elements. If you're looking for a more basic idea, sorry about that, if you're looking for a more basic idea, you can think of putting a circle over here, an element over here, an element over here. And that's going to give you some asymmetrical balance as well that draws your eye to the design. So the last element I wanted to discuss with you is rules of odds. So what you have here is a visually interesting creation, and reason being there are 9 elements being used. So normally, if you're doing a more pared down layout like I've been doing lately, you can gravitate more towards the 3s. But for example, there are 9 elements in this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's what's creating your asymmetrical balance. This is actually a pretty straightforward layout because you have your 2 elements down here, your 2 elements up here, and this one's split in half. So that's how easy it can be creating that layout. And if you look at my latest April layout, I'm counting this as an element, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, odd numbers creating that visual interest and balance. I hope you found this video helpful in terms of how to think about your different designs and compositions within your planner and your bullet journal. I know it's nice to look at other people's or the more professional bullet journalers and think, wow, I could never do that. And that used to be me. But with these simple rules, it just helps create these layouts you never thought you could, simply using, again, these basic rules. I'll be including more examples at the end of this video, so if you want to see, keep going. And then I'm also going to tag some of my favorite planners on Instagram in the comments, and so make sure to check those out. But thank you so much for your time today. Hi everybody, I'm Natasha of Natasha Miller Letters. Yeah.